The universe is an amazing place. We always think that we have control over things, over the direction our lives take. We always think that we know who people are. Sometimes you can come in contact with someone over and over and over again in one aspect of your life and never have any idea who they really are. For 5 years, I held a job at the Jewish Community Center as the Cultural Arts and Jewish Engagement Director. And for 5 years, this next speaker came into my orbit in hundreds of different ways. She attended events, she attended meetings, she was in my world. And it wasn't until just a few months ago that I knew who she really is and how much we share in common in a deep and human way. I am deeply honored that she trusted me and this group of amazing women to help her walk this path. Please welcome Marian Turk.
A few weeks ago, I went up to the coffee counter at Wegmans and I said, "Can I get a medium coffee?" The young woman behind the counter replied, "Sure, what size?" I suppressed my sarcastic response and answered her as if I'd never spoken in the first place. "Medium, please," I said. A week later, I was at the other Wegmans in town. I went up to the coffee counter and asked for a medium coffee. It was $2.05. I handed a $20 bill and a nickel to the woman behind the counter, and she gave me my change, $18.02. I looked at the change and then looked at her, puzzled, and then we looked at each other for a moment, puzzled. And then she said, "Didn't you give me a 20 and a quarter?" And I said, "No, I gave you a 20 and a nickel." She laughed and did a facepalm. "I'm not thinking today," she chuckled. I gave her the 20 cents back and she thanked me for being honest. I got my coffee and went on my way, thinking that someone needs to check in on the Wegmans coffee counter employees because they are not okay. I share this story by way of illustration. I made you laugh, right? Some of you laughed, some of you at least chuckled. I'm guessing that most of you at least cracked a smile, and that was exactly my intention. For a long time now, it has been my MO to make people laugh. Sometimes it's with a straightforward joke, sometimes with a horrible pun, sometimes with an amusing story or anecdote. But if I can make you laugh, then I've accomplished something. It wasn't until I was in my late 30s that I learned about the function of humor in my life and in my psyche. I was a graduate student at the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York City, studying to become a cantor. Our student health insurance was through the health center of Columbia University, just a couple of blocks away from the seminary. I had a bout of severe depression, or to be more accurate, the depression I've struggled with since I was a teenager took a sharp dip again. So I found myself at the counseling center at Columbia University. I was evaluated and a counselor referred me to a program where students could be seen by psychiatric residents and the therapy was free to me as a student. That is how I ended up in the office of a super tall, super skinny British dude, a resident in Columbia University Medical School psychiatry program at New York Presbyterian Hospital. He earnestly tried to practice Freudian psychiatry on me, and quite frankly, I tried to entertain him. And I did. I made him laugh frequently and hard, until one day when he used our session to talk about humor. He started asking me about why I like to make him laugh. I started to get the feeling that he thought that my sense of humor and desire to make people laugh was a negative thing. What Dr. Skinny Brit helped me learn was something profound that I had never realized before. Humor has a function. It can be a tool and also a weapon. I learned that humor is a tool I use to get myself through uncomfortable situations. It is also a useful way to connect with people, and I've used it that way very often, especially when trying to start conversations with people I don't know. But humor can also be used to deflect, to digress, to shield myself and others from uncomfortable truths. As much as humor can connect, it can also be a barrier. Why talk about real, substantive, and possibly uncomfortable things when we can just laugh together? Why should I open up and let people see who I really am when I can just amuse people and laugh with them? After we started exploring the way I use humor, Dr. Skinny Brit stopped laughing at things I said. Sometimes he wanted to. I could see that every once in a while. I could see him suppressing a smile or choking back a chuckle, but he absolutely refused to laugh no matter what I said. He was trying to teach me a lesson. It is a lesson that I learned, but one that I also keep having to relearn. The truth is, I am no stranger to putting up barriers between myself and other people, or between myself and uncomfortable truths. From almost as far back as I have memories, I remember taking pleasure in eating food to excess. I enjoyed stuffing my face at holidays, special occasions, or really any occasion where there was food. When I was a young kid, my parents praised me for my ability to eat whatever I want and not gain weight. By the time I was 12, my mom was telling me to lose weight. When I was 15, I obliged by limiting myself to 500 calories a day and losing 40 pounds in a month. My parents seemed quite oblivious to the fact that I've starved myself, and they praised my weight loss. By the time I was a junior in high school, I was aware that I had real problems with food and that I was a compulsive overeater. I even tried doing something about it, although the efforts didn't really stick. I did manage to keep off the 40 pounds I lost when I was 15 for a little while. It took me until after I graduated from high school to gain it back. And then I gained 100 pounds while I was in college, and for the first time in my life, at age 22, I was obese. There are a lot of things I could and did blame my eating on. Depression, which I'd struggled with since my early teens. Bullying, which I had experienced intensely throughout my childhood. My parents' loveless marriage, which was a very big and I think negative influence on me. Stress, which particularly as I got older, became a major trigger for addictive eating. In my adult life, I got pretty good at losing weight and also at gaining it back. When I was 26, I lost 120 pounds. I kept it off for a couple of years and then gained it back. At the age of 31, I lost 100 pounds. I managed to keep that off for about 10 years. Then I started gaining weight again, right around the time I was finishing up grad school and looking for a job. Remember what I said before about stress? I gained weight for about 2 years, and during that time I first achieved the unpleasant distinction of weighing over 300 pounds. I finally started losing weight again in 2010, and by mid-2012 I'd lost 140 pounds. I was sure hoping that 140-pound weight loss would be my last. And I honestly had the thought at the time that it had to be my last time doing this because I didn't have it in me to go through the process of losing 100 plus pounds again. Little did I know how naive I was, even though I was already in my 40s. After that 140-pound weight loss, I moved to Richmond, a city where I didn't know anyone. I took on a new job, one that I knew would be challenging. I got stressed out. I fell back into bad habits. I lost all of my confidence and any self-esteem I had. I felt like a failure at my job and at life. By the time I was getting ready to leave that job, after 6 years, I'd gained 170 pounds, the entire 140 I'd lost, and then some. Now I am down 110 pounds. This is now the 4th time in my adult life that I've lost 100 plus pounds. I've worked hard to lose that weight, and I can tell you with the deepest sincerity that I do not ever want to weigh 360 pounds again. But more importantly, I don't ever again want to be in the place that I was when I weighed 360 pounds, believing I was a complete failure, hating myself, hating my life, having no faith in myself, believing that I could not change, again, for the umpteenth time. The one thing I managed to keep, even when I weighed the most and felt the least, was my sense of humor. I was still capable of laughing. I had to laugh or else I would cry. Although, let's be honest, I did a lot of crying too. I used humor not only to get me through, but also as an avoidance technique. If I could make people laugh, then perhaps they would still like me, in spite of the fact that I was morbidly obese. What I've realized is that both food and humor are very effective barriers. Excessive food and weight gain are a barrier between me and possibly uncomfortable relationships with other people. Humor and my general ease in talking to people keep people from getting close enough to see my crazy. If I can be that funny, quirky lady that everyone finds entertaining, then I can avoid having people see that I can't manage my life, that stress makes me self-destruct, that I can't manage to keep my house or car clean for any significant amount of time, that I struggle with finding a sustainable way to make a living, and that my finances are a complete mess. That I am a middle-aged lady who has not only never been married, but who has never really had a significant other. The problem is that, try as I might to hide those things from other people, I cannot hide them from myself, and that creates loneliness. And loneliness is very, very painful. I'm slowly learning that there are people who will see the mess of a human being that I am and not run away. There are people who can appreciate that I struggle, but that I also do the best I can to be a good friend and a decent human being. There have been many, many times when life has been lonely and difficult enough that I really just want to give up. But then I meet other people who struggle like I do. And I remember that I'm not alone. And I remember that if I give up, I will never get to realize the potential of what my life can be. And as long as I'm alive, there's still potential. I need food to keep my body going, but I don't need so much of it or so much of the wrong kinds of it that it blocks me from seeing and doing what I need to do. I need humor to keep me going through the rough times and to help me connect with people, but I don't need to use it to keep people at bay. I need to just keep going and trust that I will get where I need to be. And along the way, I will take notice of the Wegmans coffee counter employees and others I encounter who are distracted, a little off kilter, and not quite okay.